Okay, so good morning, all of you. So, in today's lecture of highway engineering, we will see the typical cross section of a highway and then how are roads being classified based on several conditions. So, before that, we'll quickly have a recap on what we had discussed in the previous lecture. So, in the previous lecture, we have seen what highway engineering is about, what transportation engineering is, then what are the different modes of transport, then the history of highway engineering and highway planning in India. So in today's lecture, we will be seeing road types and classification. So a typical cross-section of any pavement has a subgrade. So the subgrade is usually the weak, moisture sensitive in situ soil. In situ means on the site. In case if the strength of the soil or in case if the strength of the subgrade soil is poor, what can be done is the soil is being stabilized. Okay, so you have the subgrade soil. Then over the subgrade soil, you have the subbase. So subbase is usually moderate strength material. It is free draining. It's a natural material and this material is also inexpensive. Above the subbase, you have the base. This base course is strong. It should be freely draining. It can be manufactured. So usually gravel is being provided here and then this base course is also again less expensive. Over the base course, you have the surface course. So surface course is very strong. It should be durable. It should be impermeable. It's also a manufactured material and it is expensive material. So the bottom two layers, that is the subgrade and the subbase, are natural material, whereas the base and the surface are manufactured material. So this is how a typical cross section of a pavement looks like. Now, based on whether the pavement is flexible or rigid, we will see in the coming slides, the surface and the base course will be changing. Again, for flexible and rigid, the cross section, the typical layers that are present in the cross section of a pavement will be different. So for any typical pavement, these are the main layers. So this you should remember. Subgrade, over the subgrade, you have the subbase, then you have the base, and then the surface course. So road type and classification. So the classification is mainly based on these 8 parameters. So road can be classified based on the material that is being used for the construction of the road, then based on where the road is being located and the function, then based on the traffic volume, based on the width, then based on the economy, then based on the traffic type, then based on the rigidity, and then based on topography. So based on materials, these are the classification. You have earthen roads, gravel roads, muram roads, concrete roads, waterbound macadam, bituminous road, and cement concrete road. So if you look at these 7 types of road, all the classifications based on what material is being used. So and these terms itself are self-explanatory, right? So what might be an earthen road or an earth road? It is laid with with the soil that is available at the site. So usually this is a temporary road that is being made. Okay, and it's the cheapest among all the roads. And the road is not designed for any heavy traffic. It is designed for very low traffic. And the available soil is being laid in 2 to 3 layers and the soil is being rammed by providing some moisture to expel the excess voids. Okay, and it's also known as a temporary road and it's usually laid for maybe moving of construction equipment. So if you have undergone internships in your previous semesters, you might have seen a typical construction site. So when excavation is happening, the surface of the site will be undulated. So for the construction equipment or for any load carrying equipment, load carrying vehicle to come to the site, there should be some level surface. So for that, again, a temporary structure is being made. That is nothing but an earthen road. It can be for movement of constructing vehicles or for moving army vehicles during wartime. And this kind of a road is not recommended during monsoon season. You understand why it is, because soil behaves has a complex behavior in the presence of water. That's why. So next is a gravel road. So gravel road, this is again the second cheapest among all type of road, and they are also they're quite better than the earthen road. So in this, the mixture of gravel and earth. So the earth which is available, which is typically available at the site, is being paved on the surface and it's compacted. So this is usually been done, along any residential site. And gravel roads are also known as metal road by any layman. And these roads are easily built, and it can be, generally laid in a quick time, and it's been usually seen in villages. I hope all of you have seen gravel road, right? So you have the gravels, or in layman's language, you have the metal. So this has been mixed with the gravel, mixed with the earth that is present in the site, or that is available at the site, and it has been paved on the surface and it's compacted. So this is also not a heavy uh, traffic road, but again a low traffic road, but has a better performance compared to earthen road. So next you have Muram road. Muram is nothing but a lateritic material. It's a gravelly lateritic material, and it is laid as a primary material. So the density of the Muram is usually higher than gravel, and it provides a good surface finish and compaction than the above two roads. Like it's pretty superior compared to earthen roads or the gravel road. So it's a lateritic material. So you might have seen laterite. So you have studied in geology also how this lateritic material is being formed. This is formed by erosion. Okay, erosion of igneous rock. So this is a typical picture of Muram road. So then you have Kankar road. Kankar is a pure form of limestone. So this is recommended only at places where you have good quantity and good quality of lime. You cannot just transport lime to construct Kankar road. Wherever good quality or good quantity of lime is available, Kankar road is being recommended. And it is also a low quality road, but it is quite superior to earthen road and gravel road, because you know the chemical reaction that happens between limestone and water. Okay, so that is why Kankar road is quite superior compared to earthen road and gravel road. But it's also not a high quality road, but compared to earthen road and gravel road, it is quite superior, but better. So next you have waterborne macadam. In the last class, I have explained who macadam was and what was the revolution that macadam has brought in road construction. Okay, so he is considered as a pioneer for road construction. So waterborne macadam or WBM road. So these are roads which are constructed by using crushed stone aggregate in its base course. So we have seen what are the layers in a pavement. You have subgrade, then subbase, then you have the base, and then you have the surface course. So in base course, what happens is crushed stone aggregate, okay, is being used. So the aggregates are being spread on the surface and it is rolled after sprinkling water. So this typical construction you might have seen. So on the road, you have the uh, subgrade soil, then again you have the subbase. Over that, aggregates are being placed. So these aggregates are spread after leveling, and after the leveling, it's been rolled. How? By sprinkling some water. So these have better performance compared to the previously four discussed road, that is earthen road, gravel road, Muram and Kankar road. And these are typically laid at a thickness of 10 centimeter and are very rough but may disintegrate immediately under traffic. So why and how, what test has been done to understand the effect of traffic? Okay, so that we will be seeing in concrete and highway lab. Okay, how, what test is to be done to understand the performance of aggregate under traffic? Is that clear? So here directly traffic will be allowed over this aggregate and it can disintegrate. That again depends on the quality of the aggregate and the vehicle load or the vehicle volume. So next you have cement concrete road. So cement concrete road is a superior road and it's been used to construct pavement in case of concrete. So they are very much popular and it's costlier than any other type of road. So the maintenance cost is less and it is also suitable for high traffic area. And usually if you have traveled through cement concrete road, you can find these joints and you can find, the vehicle having the same feeling of going through a speed breaker. Okay, so this were the types of road that we have discussed: earthen road, gravel road, Muram road, Kankar road, waterbound macadam, bituminous road, and cement concrete road. So next is types of road based on location and function. So based on location and function, these are the four main types: national highway, state highway, district road, then village or rural road. So here in national highway, so you know what is the purpose of a national highway? These are the main road that connects all major cities to the capital of the country. That is the purpose of providing national highway. So since it connects all major cities, the road has to run throughout the length and breadth of the country, and minimum of 2 lane should be provided for a typical national highway. Minimum is 2 lane road. Okay. So at the end of the class, we will have a small quiz on longest this national highways. So you have 10 important national highways. We will quickly glance through what are these 10 important national highways. So this is a typical typical map of India showing national highways. Okay, so this PPT I'll be sharing, so you can go through and understand where the national highways have been located and what is the national highway number. So now, based on again location function, you have state highway. So it's the second main road and it connects what significant parts of the state within the state. And finally, it has to connect to what? It has to connect to the national highway. And then district road. District road is being provided within the cities and it is being used to connect market or production places. And finally, the district road will have to join what? It has to join the state highway, and finally, the state highway will join the national highway. So, district roads, you have two types of district road. One is the major district road, and another one is the minor district road. So, major district road will connect the headquarters of the neighboring district with the main parts of the area. Minor district road are laid within the region. So major district road, suppose you have two different districts, it connects the headquarters of the neighboring district. Minor district road connects within the region. Then finally, we have village or rural road. So this connect the nearby villages, and this will lead to what? Lead to district road, and the low quality road are provided. So here, the previous slides we have seen the gravel road or the waterborne macadam are usually provided for village road. Why? Because the traffic is comparatively less. So this is how the roads are classified based on location and function. You have national highway, state highway, district road, then village or rural road. So now based on traffic volume, you have three roads. One is the low traffic road, second is the medium traffic road, third is the high traffic road. So low traffic road, the vehicles carry the number of vehicles that will be carried on an average on a daily basis will be 400 vehicles. In medium traffic road, it is 400 to 1000 vehicles per day, whereas in high traffic road, it will be more than 1000 vehicles. So you have less than 400 or up to 400 is low traffic. 400 to 1000 is medium traffic, and more than 1000 will be classified under high traffic road. So from this, we have road classification based on economy. So economy based on the basis of economy, you have low cost road, medium cost road, and high cost road. So low cost road means the maintenance cost and the construction cost for the road is less. So again, medium cost will be maintenance cost is low, and high cost road is the maintenance cost will be high. So we will see in the coming slides how this low cost, medium cost, and high cost analysis will be done. Now, based on the traffic type, so the typical payment itself can have mainly three components. One is the motorway. These are also known as expressway, and that motorway is provided for motorized vehicles. Pedestrian track is exclusively for the pedestrians, and no vehicles will be permitted in this way. Then you have the cycle tracks. These cycle tracks are provided on both sides of the pavement, and that is again provided only for cyclists. So this is an important topic. Road type based on rigidity. So based on rigidity, you have mainly two types. One is the flexible road or the flexible pavement, and next is the rigid pavement. So in the first slide, I have told you what are the typical layers for a pavement. So for a flexible pavement, you have subgrade, subbase, base course, and then a surface course. Okay. Whereas in a rigid payment, you have the subgrade, base course, and then directly you have the surface course. So if you look at the materials that is being used here, so subgrade, you have the natural level. So from the natural level, I think you have studied in surveying how to get the formation level, right? You have done numericals on area computation and volume computation. So from this, you know how to get the formation level. From the formation level, you have the subbase. So subbase is also the natural material that has been provided. Now, based on flexible or rigid payment, above the subbase, the materials gets changed or the layers gets changed. So above the subbase, if you have concrete slab, this payment is known as what? Rigid payment. Whereas above the subbase, if you have a base course and then a surface course with a surface dressing of bitumen, this payment is known as flexible payment. So the action of these two payments will be discussed in module 3, how the load distribution action will be and how the payment behaves on application of load. So is this clear? You have the natural formation level. Okay, then natural formation. Over this, based on the calculations that you have done after conducting surveying, you define the formation level. So this is also soil. Then you have the subbase. So this will be large size aggregates, which are usually, which are again naturally formed. Then if it is a rigid payment, you have directly the concrete slab. If it is a flexible payment, you have a base course, a surface course, and then a surface dressing. So to summarize the difference between the two, flexible and rigid payment, in flexible payment, the deformation in the subgrade is transferred to the upper layers, whereas in rigid payment, it is not transferred to any layers. So again, in flexible payment, the design will be based on the load distributing characteristics of the component layers, whereas here in rigid payment, the design will be purely based on flexural strength or slab action. So flexural strength, slab action, all these terms will be explained in module 3. Then for flexible payment, you have low flexural strength, whereas in rigid payment, it has high flexural strength. So you know what flexural strength is? So again, in flexible payment, the load transfer is by grain to grain contact. That is, you have the material subbase base. So the material, so if I can draw over here, if you have the materials, okay, so the load is being applied here. The load transfer will be occurring between grain to grain. That means through each individual grain, the load has been transferred to the subgrade. Whereas in rigid payment, it is by slab action. Okay, no such phenomenon of grain to grain load transfer. So you have the rigid payment here, then you have the subgrade. The load has been applied, it has been directly transferred by slab action. So you know it has a flexural strength as this. So the beam, okay, the slab will be acting like a beam. It will be bending. So you know what wrapping stress, I think, yeah, you might be studying that in RCC, but we will see in detail in module 2 how the load transfer action will be by slab action or based on flexural strength. So here it is grain to grain contact. Here, no such phenomenon. Then here the completion cost is less, but repairing cost is high. You might have seen how much, potholes are happening on a flexible payment and the rigid payment. So in flexible payment, the completion cost is comparatively less, but the repairing cost is high. Here the repairing cost is less, but completion cost is high. Okay. And for flexible payment, the lifespan is low, but whereas in rigid payment, lifespan is more compared to flexible payment. Again, flexible payment, the chances of night vision problem occurs in flexible payment, whereas in rigid payment, you don't have those kind of problems. So in flexible payment, the surfacing cannot be laid directly on subgrade, but a subbase is needed. Okay, but whereas in rigid payment, surface can be laid directly on the subgrade. So here for a flexible payment, if you see, you need to have a subbase to place a surface course, whereas in rigid payment, directly over the subbase, you can place the concrete slab. So that concrete slab itself acts as a surface course. Okay, so this is the difference between flexible and rigid payment. This table is important, and I will be sharing more points on the difference between flexible and rigid payment. So this is how a typical cross section of a flexible payment looks like. You have the cleaning and graveling, then you have the overall ground level. Over this, you have the embankment, then the sub gravel, the granular sub base, then the wet mix macadam. You know what macadam is, right? Then you have dense mix bitumen macadam, and then the bitumen concrete mix. Whereas for a rigid payment, you directly have, see, you can see the difference here up to sub gravel, it's the same. Then you have the granular sub base. So over the granular sub base, here again you have three layers. Whereas in rigid payment, directly over the granular sub base, you have a dry lean concrete. Okay, in case if you want to have a better quality payment quality concrete is being laid. So this is the difference here. Okay, so this point is really important, the difference between rigid and flexible payment. So up next we have the road type based on topography. So based on topography, you have hilly road and plain area road. So hilly road is nothing but the roads that are constructed on hilly region, and they are also known as ghat road. And these are usually provided along the hill in a spiral shape, whereas a plain area road are constructed on level surface. Okay. So we have seen the different road type based on the different classification parameters. Now we will quickly see I think you can see, so here you have some latest road construction technology. So you can just glance through the video.
Gold Series 6-shooter. Traditional methods for removing and repairing manholes on roads are not perfect. People have to perform tedious, time-consuming work, which moreover is extremely unsafe. Fortunately today, new machines are being invented that allow performing the procedure faster, easier, and safer. The most difficult stage of the adjustment of manholes is the removal of the frame, because it is built into the asphalt surface. This equipment, known as Gold Series 6-shooter, cuts the asphalt around the manhole, significantly reducing waste and makes the process more economical. It is an attachment used in conjunction with a skid steer. The cutting diameter is adjustable, 70 or 150 centimeters. This design greatly expands the possible scope of work. It's noteworthy that the nozzle can be equipped with an additional handle, after which the cutting diameter is increased by another 30 centimeters. The depth of the possible cut is 35 to 50 centimeters, and the blades are powerful enough to cut asphalt and concrete.
So this shows how a typical manhole is being constructed. So if you look at our scenario, what happens is that an excavation is being carried out more than 3 or 4 times the diameter that is required. So here exactly what the dimension is being required, that is being drilled or excavated, and then a manhole is being constructed.
Definite contribution to world production in terms of developing Vergela Super Series. Laying asphalt equipment has a long history. A definite contribution to world production in terms of developing innovative technological characteristics was made by the German.
So here you can see how the gravel is being leveled and then it progresses.
Company Vergela. The model series of this manufacturer today has a huge amount of equipment, and the asphalt pavers differ primarily in the width of the working area. The video demonstrates the performance of the Super 800 III, a new generation machine that stands out for its compact size. The overall width of the device is only 1.4 meters, while it's capable of laying up to 300 tons of asphalt per hour. The compact dimensions allow working in tight spaces, even in the narrowest areas. The laying width is adjustable from 0.5 to 3.5 meters. It is used to create and repair private roads, small roads, bicycle and walking paths. Another model shown in the video is the degree of damage depends on car activity, the age of the asphalt and other operational features. To fix the road, you don't necessarily need to remove the old layer of asphalt and then lay a new one. When the degree of damage is small, it is enough to apply a layer of special saturant. It is a liquid that consists of acrylic, polyurethane, other polymers, and surfactants. This is a more economical and easy way to keep the roads in a good condition.
So you can see how smooth the road finishing looks like, right?
From the it seals the road surface.
So again, there are three to four techniques that are being shown in the video. So again, there are some ads that is being coming up. So the video and the PPT will be shared. You can go through the link and then understand what are the recent developments that are there in road construction other than rammer or the rollers or the compactors that we see around in our place. Now to have a quick recap of the class. In today's class, we have seen the typical condition of the road. Then what are the types of road based on materials, location and function, traffic volume, width, economy, traffic type, rigidity, and topography. So these are the topics that we have seen in today's class. So in next class, we will see the road pattern and how the road pattern is being influenced by the locality.